Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the sun barely peeking through your window, and for a moment, everything feels still. But then, as your mind stirs, the weight of the world crashes in. You think about the bills piling up, the deadlines looming, the relationships straining under the pressure of unmet expectations. You scroll through your phone, bombarded by images of people living what seems like perfect lives, traveling, achieving, thriving. And yet, despite all your efforts, you feel a gnawing emptiness, a sense that something vital is missing. What if everything you've been told about success, happiness, and identity is a lie? What if the very things you're chasing, money, status, validation, are not the keys to fulfillment, but the chains that bind you? What if the root of your suffering isn't the world around you, but the way you see yourself in it? This is the paradox of modern life. The more we strive to connect, the more isolated we feel. The more we accumulate, the emptier we become. The more we seek to define ourselves, the more lost we seem. We live in a world that celebrates individuality, yet we are more divided than ever, from each other, from nature, and even from ourselves. Consider this. You are sitting in a crowded room, surrounded by people, yet you feel utterly alone. You scroll through social media, consuming endless content, yet you feel disconnected. You work tirelessly to build a life of comfort, yet you feel restless. Why? The ancient sages of India spoke of Maya, the grand illusion that veils the truth of existence. They taught that the world we perceive is not the ultimate reality, but a projection of our minds, shaped by desires, fears, and conditioning. They spoke of Atman, the true self, which is not separate from the universe but one with it. And they warned that ignorance of this truth, this unity, is the source of all suffering. But how can this be? How can the self you call you be an illusion? How can the world you see, touch, and experience not be real? And if it's all an illusion, why does it feel so tangible, so inescapable? Here's the unsettling truth. The more you cling to the idea of being separate from others, from nature, from the divine, the more you suffer. The ego, that voice in your head that says I am this or I am that, thrives on division. It defines itself by what it owns, what it achieves, what it fears losing. But in doing so, it creates a prison of its own making. Think about it. When you feel jealous, isn't it because you see someone else as separate from you, possessing something you lack? When you feel angry, isn't it because you perceive an injustice done to you as an individual? When you feel lonely, isn't it because you believe you are cut off from others, isolated in your own little world? But what if this sense of separateness is the greatest illusion of all? What if the boundaries you've drawn between yourself and the world are not real? What if the key to ending your suffering lies not in changing the world, but in seeing it and yourself differently? This is the great question we must confront. Who are you, really? Are you the body, the mind, the roles you play, the labels you wear? Or are you something far greater, something eternal and unchanging, something that transcends all divisions? The sages of the Upanishads declared, Tattvam asi, you are that. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. But how can this be? How can you, with all your flaws and fears, be one with the infinite? As you sit with these questions, feel the tension they create. Feel the discomfort of not knowing, the unease of confronting the unknown. And yet, beneath that discomfort, there is a glimmer of something profound, a possibility, a truth waiting to be uncovered. What if the answer lies not in thinking, but in seeing? Not in analyzing, but in experiencing? What if the key to liberation is not out there, but within you, hidden in the depths of your own consciousness. The journey to rediscover unity in a divided world begins here, in this moment of questioning. It begins with the courage to challenge everything you've been taught, to peel back the layers of illusion, and to confront the truth of who you really are. But beware, this is not a journey for the faint of heart. It will demand everything of you, your beliefs, your fears, your very sense of self. And yet, it promises something far greater: freedom from suffering, clarity of vision, and the realization of your true nature. So, are you ready to take the first step? Are you ready to see beyond the illusion of separateness and rediscover the unity that has always been there, waiting to be seen? The answer lies not in words, but in the silence that follows. Listen closely. The truth is closer than you think.